Hello world, welcome to another edition of P&T Show. I'm so glad to welcome you back again. Have you been following? Have you been learning? Have you been sharing this show with your friends and your family? So welcome again to another episode. My name is Preciouifeanyi, your favorite host on the show. So on this show, we celebrate parenting and we inspire teenagers. We do that by bringing to this show guests, parents, teenagers to share their journey, to share their experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, so that others can learn from them. And today we have someone in the studio who is going to share again. And we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, one that is very close to my heart because it is at the root of what we do as, teen coaches and mentors. So we're going to be talking about why teenagers don't talk and how parents can listen better. So we're going to be looking at that topic. And I have with me Coach Esther, the very beautiful. You've seen her on the show before and she's back again today. And I'm so happy and so glad to have you back.
I'm so glad to be here. It's always amazing to be here.
Thank you for coming again. So let's get straight into this conversation. Why do you think that a lot of teenagers keep silent? They don't want to talk to their parents.
So, based on experience, we found out that teenagers don't want to open up. They don't want to talk. They feel not heard. Short out. What you're saying is not important. So parents just feel like, what you're saying is not necessary. So they feel like, mine, it's what I tell you that will work. So that's the reason. Another thing, fear of judgment.
Okay.
They just fear that they'll be judged after that. And of course, some parents are very good making...
They do it well.
Making that issue the topic. As anyone is coming to them, have you seen what so person did today? This is your person, have you seen what he or she has done? So because of those things, teenagers feel it's not necessary. Another thing again, which they feel, I don't want to stress my parents. I just don't need the stress for them. So those are the reasons why teenagers don't open up.
So what are some unintentional ways that parents are shutting down communication with their children? Because I am sure that some of these things, like the last point you mentioned, is because they don't want to stress their parents. But other times, parents are the reason, in the sense of I will be judged, I will be criticized. So let me rather keep it to myself. So what are some of the unintentional ways? Parents may not feel like closing the door against their teenagers, but they do it anyway.
Yes.
So can you share some of those?
Okay, so some of these reasons why they do some certain things unintentionally. It just happened because it's here in Nigeria, normal African parents, there are just some certain things that just happens. Number one, like they just feel that they should talk. They are to talk, so they don't listen. The child is telling you something. What's in your head is what is in your head. So what they do unintentionally, they just say, this is it. This is how you're supposed to do it. Why not listen to this child first? Hear this child out. Another thing that tends to play is this parenting, this, how do I call it? Because I'm a parent, there's a certain way I'm supposed to feel. So they just come up and say, this is the advice. So you don't look at it to say, this child is no more that baby.
Yeah. They're becoming independent.
Yes, they're becoming independent. There are some certain that they get irritated with some certain attitude you portray. Like you want to control everything around them. And teenagers, let me tell you, for teenagers, they don't want to be controlled.
True.
Teenagers don't want to be controlled. As bad as it looks like, as bitter as it seems in the mouth of our parents, teenagers don't want to be controlled. So, does that mean we can't control them? No, you can control them in other ways. You can raise their ego and control them quietly. So, parents just shut down on this on their kids, mainly with not listening to them, giving them advices that is not necessary at that point in time, why not listen, not befriending their children, because most times they don't befriend them. They don't feel, and children don't feel at ease. Another thing, some parents, especially mothers, this one is going to mothers. They have this mindset that, oh, because I'm training this child with my husband, so the child says once maybe before in the past in time past, the child had done a particular time, you just still, and children, they respect their father a lot, no matter what you say. There's this thing about a man. There's this oil on a man's head that when a child, no matter how friendly a man can be to a child, when it's authority, then it naturally comes from the man. So imagine a child tells you that this is it before in time past. And the next thing you are going to meet the father to just say, this is your child, this is how the child behaves and all that. You've broken the trust.
True.
And teenagers, remember, teenagers are like a glass. This is a glass. They're like this. Once it's broken, no matter how you use the sellotape
to fix it,
it's not going to be looking as beautiful as this. That's how teenagers. So if you've broken that trust before, forget it. Unintentionally, you've broken their trust. You will not get the best out of them again. So those are one way that, those are several ways that parents, they shut their kids up unintentionally. Yes.
Okay, so how can a parent tell the difference between a teenager who is just reserved and a teenager who is struggling with something? Because there are two thin lines, and how can the parents tell?
Okay, so I have 4 kids, and you as a mom, you're supposed to know, as a parent, not just a mom, as a dad, you're supposed to know the kind of children you have. You should know, like my first son. If you see him, he's everywhere. Is outgoing, he talks. The second one is reserved. Then the other ones are quiet, very quiet. Like my daughter, Nikki, she's extremely quiet. So that's an introvert, right? But I tell you, she has things that she's fond of. As quiet as she is, she has things that makes her lively, that will make her come out and want to talk. No matter how quiet a child is, notice that child has his group where they can talk, they can express themselves. So if that child at that point in time, no matter how quiet, like I said, gets to that place where that thing that the child does, that child no more enjoys doing those things, then there's something to look at.
Okay.
The child is over quiet. Doesn't want to be where friends are. Another thing parents need to check out for, and this really helped me, as I have a teenager who's at home too. When you notice that they are extremely quiet and they get angry with their siblings, it starts with their siblings, because that's how you know that something is eating that child up. Little things that siblings will just do, maybe just to drop water somewhere or do something, and the child just comes and triggers them, everything triggers them, and the child just comes and why is this thing like this? Why is this? Don't think that you say your character is now. No. There's something to look out for. They're getting irritated.
And some parents will capitalize on that and make it an issue and complicate it. You have anger issue.
You should go and learn. Then another thing, at that point in time, you see, there's something I didn't mention initially, this comparison. And you compare the child. That's another thing that parents shut their kids up. You compare them. And at that point, that comparison comes in again to a child who is struggling, battling with one challenge or the other. That fear of now saying, you see what I used to say? You see why I said, be so person. At that point in time, you're not looking at what is making this child that way. Why is that child withdrawn? Why is it going away? You check, if you look deep, you know that we have cases of people who have been raped. Teenagers who have been raped or violated and all that. You see them, they shrink. They get into a place, they don't want friends, they don't want family, they don't want anything. And you feel, oh, he's an introvert. Nobody is an introvert. I have people come to my school and the mother will say, this my child is an introvert. He doesn't talk to people. But when they come, I will tell the mother, this your child is not an introvert. They have where they play. If that child does not do those things anymore, then there is a problem.
Okay, so when a parent now realizes that this is my child, I've looked at them, they're becoming too reserved for my liking, I think something is wrong. What can they do?
So when you have cases like that, you bring them out. How do you bring this child out? You get to befriend them, put a story, do something. So recently, before I came back to Lagos, I found out that my daughter, my little daughter, my last girl, I found out that she's just away. I noticed that, I said, that's it, there's something. Maybe because they can do that to get your attention. They need attention. And when they don't get this attention, what they think they can do is, I don't want to disturb mommy. As I said initially, I don't want to disturb mommy. I think me bringing my own issue to her, it's like I'm blowing it out of proportion. So I noticed it and I said, come. I said, let's go out. I said, get into the car. We just went out randomly. I was going to make my hair. So I just said, get into the car. And she entered, I saw the life again. And we're talking. She wasn't talking. She was just quiet. But I was talking. I was saying, I said, who's your favorite friend in school? Why do you like that your favorite friend? Why don't you like this person? And the next thing, boom. The girl that wasn't talking, she started talking. Oh, this is my favorite friend. That one is my favorite. I don't like so person. I said, why don't you? I didn't notice that person is that bad. We started having a conversation. So don't start with, what's the problem? What do you think is the problem? They will never tell you. Because you're coming with that thing again. That same character to say, what do you think is the problem? No. Why not bring topics like, how do you have, your day, was it fun? And you see them be quiet initially. You're asking, was your day fun? This will happen. Then you start seeing that they will become emotional. They want to sympathize with you and say, well, even if your day didn't go that bad, you can just say, hey, as I was driving like this, one person just talk about those little things. And the next thing they say, you can't have a good conversation. Why not have a time, take each and every of your teenager out while you guys discuss and talk about life.
It will also improve the communication system in that home, because if you can build that communication over time, it makes communication and conversations. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. And I also love the fact that you're sharing from your personal experiences, because it makes it super relatable. So if a parent is watching this show and they're wondering, what exactly can I do? I feel like my communication with my children are zero. I talk at them, I don't talk with them. So there's no communication, there's no flow, there's no connection. What can I do today? What are the strategies I can use to start evolving our communication and make it better?
So I'm doing my hands like this and I'm saying, you see, that's your parenting attitude, your parenting lifestyle, over emphasizing lifestyle. You turn it off first.
Okay.
It's going to be hard, but I'm saying, you see it, turn it off. That thing that tells you that I'm the parent here, turn it off. Overreacted, turn it off. Because when you are in that place where I am the parent, I'm not your friend. Because I've heard people say, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent. I'm your parent. You turn that off first for a teenager. They are not children. I said that again. They are teenagers. They are not children. So you turn off your parenting principle and all that first before you can get them. When you turn it off, then that antenna will not be ready to receive that signal.
That old signal.
That signal that will make you react when your child says a thing. Because the truth is that it's natural. When you have kids and a particular thing is done, that you do not expect that from the child. And imagine I talked about struggling with addiction. Remember last time I talked about I struggled with addiction, which my parents are not aware of. So I'm not saying that. Imagine my mom hearing that from me, saying that I was struggling with drug addiction, and the first thing that comes to your head, how did this happen? So that's the first reaction. You see my reaction now. I'm doing that because I'm having like this thing saying that my child is telling me that, and I know what I've done so far. I'm a pastor's, I'm the pastor. How come? Those things that ties you it ties you in, you turn it off. If you turn it off, you can hear from the perspective of a friend. You can hear from a perspective of a mentor. That's the reason why your children prefer to talk to people outside and not talk to you. There are so many things people outside know about your children that you are not aware of. Why? Because they won't judge them. You are judging them. But if you turn off that stuff, you won't judge them. Then you are ready to listen. You pay attention. Not just hearing because you want to hear the details, but because you want to take every detail seriously and you want to know how. You want to know how to go about it. You are quiet. You are calm in spite of the rage. Because definitely there will be a rage like, where did I fail? Where did I miss it? That will be like the reaction, but you keep calm. And take it like you are enjoying what the child is saying. And then you can get the child. You can hit that place. Being quiet, subtle, right? You're quiet, you're going quietly. It's okay. So what happened next? Okay. Then you engage the child. You engage the child. Oh, this was what happened. Okay. It's not that bad. You don't judge. Remember, we're talking about not judging. Turning off, not judging. So you say, okay, what happened next? Okay. Then when you're done with it, that's where do more of talking, not instructing. Do not instruct. Do more of listening, sit back, calm, turn off, listen, and have the conversation. And bring instances where this that you've done now, these are the consequences of your action. So you're disciplined at the same time. We're not saying just be too plain. No, you're disciplined. You're disciplining the child. You are telling the child, okay, this is how can we now? What do you think we can do? What do you think this your action? What do you think would be the best solution to this your action? Do you think we need to do something? The child will now tell you the answer to that question. And if the child has answered it, it's finished. I told you how I managed to go through mine. I didn't have any advice from my parents. It was just my cousin's sister that said, why not take malt instead of smoking? No need to smoke. Why not just take malt? If you take malt, would it be better or not? It will energize you. So when in my head, I remember that word. Why not take malt instead of smoking? So if we do it that way, you see the way I'm smiling, we're having a very good conversation. We're smiling, we're saying, so that thing sticks in their head when you come quietly, you're taking it easy.
Your reaction is important,
Yes,
because as they're talking to you, they're watching.
Yes.
In fact, they might even start with the small ones. If you overreact, they will keep the other ones because you're not ready for the gist.
They won't give you. Like in school, we have so many teenagers. And when you see they come around to say, hey, I want to tell you something. Like I had a teenager the cousin. So let me just say this here now. I have a teenager who the cousin was constantly molesting. And the mother sees that supposed cousin, as a good. If she compares her children with the cousin, because the child looks good, male. The male looks good. He walks, does everything. They say, it's our sister's child. I wish this one was even hers. But the boy has been sleeping with that girl from, I think, the age of 8. The time I was talking to you, the child was about 11 already. Not 11, 10. 8, 9, 10. They brought the boy 3 years ago. So the boy has been sleeping with her. Immediately the mom goes, the boy does whatever. So the girl could not tell the mom. So one day the girl came to me and said, Coach, I want to talk to you, ma. And I said, what's the problem? You are fine. I literally saw this girl shaking. And I closed the door and I said, you know that this room, any issue that comes into this room is a done deal. And she said, I trust. And she said, I want to tell you something, but do not tell my mom. I said, why don't you want me to? I didn't ask. I didn't want to know this situation, but I just wanted to know. Why don't you want us to tell your mom? Because if you tell my mom will tell my dad, and my dad will escalate the issue. And I don't want to. And the next thing I'll be stained. My name will be stained. And I said, I'm not going to tell your mom, but definitely would get a solution. And I made her a fake promise. And she went ahead and told me that this is it. I was literally broken, but I held on to. I didn't want to show how broken I was, and I said, "Oh wow, why did you do it? How did this one happen? I got all details?" And that was how we started striking, and we kept quiet about it. They took it gradually, asked her, what do you think can be done? Because if you don't tell your parents, this boy will still be in the house. These things are still going to happen. So how do we go forward? I need to call your mom to come. And she said, my mom is going to kill me. Another thing parents do, they feel that they want to close up their children. Don't tell anybody anything. So because of that, they are on their own. They don't get to open up to some other person because you tell them that you want to disgrace our name. You want people to know what we're going through. Why didn't you come to tell me? That's what. So I brought the mom in, and the mom was talking, and the mom said, yeah, why did you go and tell? She was present. She was threatening the girl and say, would you have to go and tell proprietress? Why not? Why wouldn't have you don't talk to me? I'm your mom. The child cannot talk to you because you are that place where you are the lioness. The what they call the tribe of Judah. You are there. You are screaming. The way you feel that is better. So the kids can't talk to you. They really can't open up because the next thing you are out there. So that's one way. Several ways you can really get them to open up.
So do you believe that parents should learn parenting? Because a lot of parents believe that, is it not to raise a child? I can do it by intuition, by Holy Spirit, by God. So do you believe that parenting should be learned?
It should be learned. Like, you should be intentional about your parenting. Every day of your life, go and get things. Talk to people, cautious. Go to, they ask questions because you can't do it on your own. Like what we're doing now is education.
Yeah.
You can't do this on your own. You need someone. You need a group of people. You need a mentor who has gone through it and is saying, this is the way, this is the way, this is what is next. Because the truth is that this anger issue with parenting, it's something that if you don't go through parenting, you cannot do it. The fact that you are, the kids are doing something and because you can't bear it, you are screaming. It takes you to remember someone coaching you to say, this was what we talked about. You remember those thoughts in your head and say, I'm calm. Parenting journey, very seriously. So it's necessary. Parenting, it should be intentional, not just, I have intuition, I have God, I will pray. My mom prayed a lot.
And still you had the experience that you had.
I'm telling you, she prayed a lot. Would I say those prayers didn't work? Of course they worked, but
They have their way.
They have their way.
They have their own role.
The role you're supposed to play. Play it and do your prayers.
It's been a good conversation with Kotesta, and I really love the last thing that you mentioned now, which is parenting should be learned. I mean, I asked that question to reinforce the need for every parent to learn parenting. I was speaking with a parent of a teenager over last week, and I was trying to get her to the point of realizing that there is a gap in my parenting journey and it needs to be fixed. And I can only fix it by knowledge.
Yes.
And I don't have that knowledge. I need to go get it. So buy books, get into courses, get into trainings, get into masterminds, whatever you can do, because we can't afford to do parenting by guesswork. We're going to raise vagabonds. We're going to raise robots. We're going to raise teenagers, children that will not be proud of when they get to adult stage, because whatever our parents did, they did with the limited knowledge that they had.
Yes.
So we have to improve upon what they've done. There are mistakes that they've made. There are things they also did good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. So, but we can learn and get better.
Yes.
Good. So I'm going to ask you the last question, which is an advice, a word of advice. What's your word of advice for teenagers who might be listening to this show, who feel like, you know what? My own is a done deal. My parents don't listen. And by the way, they're not watching this show. So, so what can that teenager do?
So, what you can do is, I always say, choose rightly. Choose right. What are your value systems? You don't, like me, I have a parent, but I didn't have anyone who would say, this is the way, this is the way. If you are that teenager that you don't, your parents would not listen, not even listen to this, you have your role to play. You don't need that. If you are there, you don't need that parenting. What are your value systems? What are those things you owe dear to that I cannot, like when was it the children? We had Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? He said, "We would not do this." Is it Joseph who refused in spite of what was coming in? He was in charge of everything. He could have said, "After all, I'm in charge of everything. I'm in charge of." He could have said so, but he had himself. Did he have anyone? He never had anyone. Remember that his sibling had thrown him, they betrayed him. Remember that his father doesn't know where he is. He was alone in that place. But he chose that this is the right path he's going to take. You hold on to that right path. I never had anyone who would say, this is the path, this is the path, this is the way to go, this is the way to go. But the one she knew, she did it. She did it. She's a wonderful woman. She did it. But I'm trying to tell you that do not be resentful. Be aware of yourself and say, this is the path I'm going to follow. And I chose the right path. That's the advice I would give to any teenager who is out there and is battling with one thing or the other and feeling that nobody cares. God cares. Love yourself. And because you love yourself, you will not do some certain things that you know that will not be comfortable. You know what will not be comfortable. So I tell you, love yourself. Do the right thing even when no one is watching.
Wow. Do the right thing even when no one is watching. If there's nothing else you will take away from today's conversation, that's enough for you to take away. All right. Thank you so much, Coach Esther, for doing this with us again. This is the second time having you in the studio, and it's such a delight.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. And I hope you will come again if we invite you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for watching till this time. Keep watching P&T Show. Keep sharing with your friends, with your families, with everyone that you know, because this is that show where we inspire teenagers and we celebrate parenting. Till we come your way again next week, Friday. Bye.